Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to the Women on Top podcast. I'm your host, Valerie Lynn, and with over 15 years of business experience, I became truly passionate about finding ways to support and hear from way more women. And what we know to be true is that women thrive when they are in their favorite position, on top in business, in relationships, in personal growth, and on top in being real and authentic to who the hell they are. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy the Women on Top podcast. All right, everybody. Well, welcome back to another awesome episode of the Women on Top. I have been so excited to have this conversation. Today, we have Jen from Becoming Iconic, and she is a woman who walked away from corporate marketing in 2003 and built a multi-seven-figure businesses. She built multiple seven-figure businesses from her living room while raising 4 kids, proving that motherhood and ambition aren't just compatible, they're really combustible. As the founder of Becoming Iconic, she is now a business mentor with $28 million in collective sales. She's the host of a top 1% global podcast, editor-in-chief of her own acclaimed magazine, and CEO of a marketing and media agency, really here to just obliterate this myth that women have to sacrifice one dream to chase another. Jen, oh my gosh, what an intro. Welcome to the show.
It is. Thank you. I'm blushing, but I really appreciate that intro. And I appreciate the fact that you're infusing in that we get to have it all. And that is a really important message for women to hear.
Yeah, I love that. And we're going to dive into all of the juice behind that as well. And I'm so glad that there's somebody like you who is kind of going first and paving the way and showing us what, our potential can be. So you've had $28 million in sales, or probably more at this point. And so you must have had moments and times throughout your journey where you questioned everything. And so I kind of want to peel back that curtain. Like, what are some of those moments that nobody talks about? Tell us about the 3 a.m. breakdown, or the time that you looked in your bank account and had a total freak out moment, or a relationship that just like almost ended it all. What were some of those moments that you've experienced?
Yeah, so it's been 20 years to get to this point. So there are definitely a collection of experiences that fit that question, and some really hard mirror-facing moments in this journey. And I feel like that's one of the things that's really important just to share out of the gate is that, I believe everybody can be an entrepreneur. I don't know if everybody should be an entrepreneur. And what I mean by that is it really does require someone who has a stick-to-itness that is unshakable. I don't know if I would be here still if it weren't for that innate kind of characteristic in me. I'm just gritty, tenacious. There's no way I'm quitting when I'm down type of personality. And so those, thank goodness for this, because some of those moments were really difficult. To name a few, I remember I was hemorrhaging at one point in my business. I had built a actually 8-figure business at that point in the wellness space. And I was really tired of talking to women about their weight and their physical appearance. I wanted to have deeper, more meaningful conversations. But I thought that I was being selfish and greedy to want more when most women were looking at me as this pinnacle of success, what they wanted to generate for themselves. And how dare I have the audacity to want more or ask for more when I had reached that level of success. And so by stifling that call to do more, pivot, shift, and change, I actually had a physical manifestation and ended up hemorrhaging. And it's kind of a neat story, actually, and worth telling. I hadn't put the 2 and 2 together, but when I was in the hospital, I call her my earth angel. This woman walked in a doctor's suit and said, "I'm so-and-so, I don't remember her name. I'm an OBGYN. I want you to know that I don't think any of this is physical. I think there's a spiritual movement happening in you, and there's something that you're not creating that you need to create. And this is your body telling you to stop stifling it." And out she walked from the room, and I never saw her again.
What?
So how else do you describe that as, just this divine intervention, and especially a doctor in, a white jacket to say something like that was just so out of scope and out of the norm. But it definitely jarred me, and it felt true in my spirit because I had been stifling for so long. So that was a huge pivotal moment, just to stop resisting the very thing that is tapping us on the shoulder. Second, sort of storyline is a divorce, and walking through separation and divorce and being a single mom and really having to learn what all of that meant while also scaling a business. And I say to women all the time, one of the biggest blessings in my life, scaling a business and being an entrepreneur, is that you get to choose to be in a relationship. You don't have to be in a relationship. And by choosing means you're empowered, you're independent, you have your own thoughts, you have your own money, you have your own stability, so that when you're with somebody in relationship, that it's it's easy to thrive because not one is dependent upon the other. And so I'm grateful for entrepreneurship for holding me through that experience. And lastly, just to kind of touch all the points, because you were like, what
Yeah.
stories? I'm like, I've got lots. But the other one that I think a lot of people could resonate with, so I've talked about health, talked about relationship, but then there's the money side. And I found myself in 2018 in over $100,000 in debt, because not because I wasn't successful. I was making $30,000, $40,000 a month at that point consecutively. So it wasn't up and down. My business was very solid, but nobody had taught me how to hold money. Nobody had taught me what a woman of wealth looks like, how she leads, to be smart and strategic with the income coming in. I was so young, making so much money. I was just living just this very carefree life in many ways. And I didn't plan for taxes. Like, there were so many things that kind of just stunned me in this newfound wealth that has been an incredible journey and story as well. Like, coming back from that 100K in debt and really going all in my business to be the leverage, to be the catalyst to change that. I didn't retreat during that time. I leaned right in during that time.
Mm, so many good examples of times that kind of almost broke you, but also really made you, which is also partially why I asked that question, because I feel like there's always those defining moments. And I think it's important for women who sometimes we put people on a pedestal. We think that they just got there because they just, are always doing everything right. And I don't know, they have some magical skills that we don't. And so it's really good to hear the behind the scenes of some of the stuff that you've gone through. And gosh, like hemorrhaging in real life, that's no joke. That's a scary situation.
It was scary.
Yeah. Do you feel like was it a nurse or a doctor? You said
He was
somebody.
a doctor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you would be somewhere else or doing something different if they hadn't come in and said those
Yes.
wise words to you?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Because I hadn't put the two and two together. It just felt like something physically was happening to me. I didn't connect that this could be a physical manifestation. Back then, this was years ago, we weren't talking in the same way we talk today. We weren't educated around energetics and manifestation the way we are today. And so those weren't necessarily concepts that were thrown around so freely. And so the idea of that wasn't something I'd contemplated, but as soon as I heard it, my whole body and soul understood. It was like, I understand the assignment. This is absolutely what's going on. I didn't know about chakras, and I can't say I'm really like swung in that side either. I'm not like terribly woo-woo, but the thing for me was just I think the personal acknowledgement of, my goodness, for what? Why? I'm staying here because I'm worried what people will think. I'm staying here because I care more about not betraying this community. I would rather betray myself. Like, why am I feeling so connected to my past as though that is the future, when instead I know there's something bigger and better? And so it was just those contemplations and that personal leadership that had to come through. But I don't believe I would have had those conversations with myself unless, like I call it, a divine intervention had happened.
Yeah. Wow. And then what was it that you took some steps and decided to start creating the thing that was on your heart? What was that thing, and what were some of those steps you then started taking?
So back then I had a very well-established personal brand with my name. I was very well known in that space and sought after. So it was beautiful. I had really created this gorgeous reputation. And I knew there was a bigger conversation I wanted to have. I knew it was not necessarily going to come in the form of my name. There'd be too much transition, too much unlearning and having to teach. So I thought, I'm not going to necessarily take them on this journey in terms of explaining myself. I'm going to take them on the journey and through my example, which is one of the things I teach. And so I had heard the name iconic, iconic, iconic. And I knew I wanted to build a company. And I thought, iconic, like that, I don't even use that word. It was, again, not popular back then. Who am I to say iconic? Like, I'm not iconic. I've had success, but I'm certainly not a Beyonce. Why does this keep popping up? And I couldn't, it wouldn't leave me alone, but yet I couldn't sit in it. And I had joined a mastermind in 100K in debt after my hemorrhage. And I went to this mastermind and said, I know I want to build a company. I know the word iconic is somehow involved, but it's just not it. And someone said, well, you kind of teach someone to become iconic. And as soon as she said that, that was another little marker moment in my life, maybe a big marker moment in my life where I thought it's actually not even become, because there's not a destination. It's actually the becoming. When I married becoming with the word iconic, it again landed for me. I thought it's the pursuit of that fullest, most beautiful, expressed version of ourselves. That's what I stand for. And if iconic means you are the best stay-at-home mom, you are so invested in those kids and, making sure that home feels loving and nurturing, and that's your definition of iconic, I celebrate that. Be the best mom you can be. If your definition of iconic is, scaling to a C-suite executive type of role in a company, and that would, fuel you, go do that. Become the woman who is at that place, like do what it takes. And the same with entrepreneurship. So for me, it's that relentless pursuit of going and like not just chasing, because it's not a chase, it's the stepping into that dream, that vision of what you see for yourself.
Ugh, I can just feel the fire when you talk about it, which is really amazing because I feel like that's how you just know someone's like embodying and living out what they're totally meant to do. So I love that. Okay, tell us about Becoming Iconic. It's a magazine, and then what else is behind the brand?
So Becoming Iconic was birthed from my life coaching and business coaching career. So I infused both of those things and launched the podcast simultaneously. This was pre-COVID. And thank God that I did. I didn't know that was coming. I had none of us knew, but it was just, again, divine timing. Thought now's the time. I made the pivot in late 2019. And it was just the right time, right place, and it scaled exponentially. We immediately hit $100,000 months, and it just went. And that was, again, just such a great indicator of going and trusting and like taking that process, moving forward despite seeing where this is going to go. That level of trust that comes. It's like you don't feel ready first. You do, and then the readiness happens. Thank God. Thank goodness I did this. Like I look back and think, what if I hadn't? Or what if that hemorrhage hadn't happened? Like it's just everything just aligns so beautifully. So Becoming Iconic started there. But what happened, as working with clients for now nearly 20 years, I noticed something, that there were a lot of energy leaks in really scaling a business. And they sort of took the form of heavy investments in assets, marketing assets like websites, brands, collateral. And so I would watch my clients, first of all, spend so much time trying to find a contractor or someone to do the work for them. So there's an energy leak. Then they would pay these ridiculous amounts of money for a website, or like I couldn't believe what people were charging. So there was the second energy leak. And then most of the time, if not every time, I don't want to say every because that's pretty like, I'm making a big statement, but I would say most of the time, the work that they received was lackluster. Like it was mundane. It was like you charged that and this is what we got, websites that weren't even finished. So there was the third energy leak, and I thought, I can't do this because my job, my partnership, and my role in this is constantly interrupted by having to mend these leaks. So I just started offering my team. It's like, I've scoured the earth. I know these are the best of the best people. You can use my team working privately with me. And that turned into an agency. So now becoming iconic is like a brand world. So when you work with me, think of it as a place where you take a seat at the table and you immediately have a CMO, a COO, a creative director, podcast producers. Like what we need around that table sits there and you get to choose your own adventure. We just get to build. And then there's no interruption of looking, managing, wondering, worrying. We know it's going to be iconic results every single time. So that's becoming iconic. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then Iconic Magazine, which is a sister company, a media company, was birthed out of losing my social media in 2022. So that was stolen from me.
Oh,
And in that, yeah, I'm not kidding. Like you don't talk about lots of major moments in my career. There's been major moments. So when I lost my social media, I had this one like peer. She hardly knew me. She didn't know me well, but she jumped on a call with me just to pour belief into me and just hold space because it was pretty detrimental and scary at the time. And she said, "But in some ways you have a clean slate. Like what's that one thing you've always wanted to do and you've never done before?" And as soon as she said it, I was like, "A magazine." I'd gone to school for fashion, got a degree in PR with the desire and dream to have a magazine, but I didn't because I had kids young. So I said, "Have a magazine." She goes, "You should do it." And it was just that, again, that divine timing where I thought, I should. Like, what do I have to lose? I've just lost my entire social media. And so the magazine was born in 2022. It took a few iterations and its own journey to get to where it is today. But now we've reached over 10 million globally. It's on people's coffee tables. It's the most delicious, wonderful expression of everything that I care about. It's often described as like Forbes meets Vogue.
mm.
It's this beautiful infusion of business and lifestyle to show a woman it's not one or the other. It's always the combination of both.
Ooh, I love that. That is so beautiful how you described that too. Gosh, what a companies that you
Yeah.
have built. And I love the name as well. So as you're talking, I have so many questions, but I was just thinking about the woman who is sitting there trying to build her own coaching business. And maybe, there's a podcast in there, maybe not, but what kind of advice do you have? And just kind of looking for tactical advice, because I know there's a lot of people right now kind of trying to grow their own thing. And I've heard some of the struggles and it just sometimes sounds intimidating. So, what advice do you give to women that are in that space right now?
Well, I would say be very careful about what you're paying attention to. I think there's a lot of noise and none of it really matters. Okay? The reputation, what's happened, we don't need to pick all of that apart. What we need are women who have a mission and a purpose and a heart to serve in this industry rising to the occasion. Period. And if that's how you would describe yourself, if you're listening to that, you're like, that's me. There is also some advice I would give that is very different from the way a lot of people were raised in this industry. I would say right now, to succeed and really build a reputation and pierce the noise, I would get really good at the one thing. Like, what is that one thing that you could talk about forever and ever and ever? You're so passionate like that. You're like, I would never get bored of talking about it. Is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it branding? Is it leadership? Like, what is that subject that you would never get bored of? You're so passionate about. Second, sort of discernment with that is, are you in fact an expert? I think in the coaching industry, everybody wants to think they're an expert at all things. Like, I can show you how to scale a business to $1 million, but have you?
Right.
And have you scaled it and stayed there? Because that's another conversation nobody asks or question nobody asks. So it's like, you don't need to be all things. Instead, like, what have you done really, really well? It could mean education. It could mean skill. It could mean experience, but that you have enough gathered that you could really give the benefit to someone else. An expert doesn't mean the letters behind your name. An expert means that you are just so solid and certain in what it is that you know. And you can now take that forward. And the third thing is making sure you're filling a gap. So it's like I'm saying be specific, but be specific and speak in the language that fills a hole, fills a gap for someone. Look at your, potential clients and customers. Look at the industry in which you're serving. Look at the culture. Look at, listen. I don't think we do enough listening. We do a lot of speaking, like content out, 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 out. Like the output is there, but are we actually listening and letting the input come in? Right? Like look and be intentional, strategic, hear what they're asking for. Know that you are someone that has the expertise to solve that and fill that gap, and then make sure the passion is there, because if you're not passionate around this subject, it's going to fall flat. So that's sort of like a trifecta I go through with my clients to make sure that we're really looking at this from a lens of, is this scalable? And is this scalable for the long term, not just like a quick launch where we make a few bucks and then it's on to the next thing again?
Yeah. Gosh, thank you for that answer, first of all, because I feel like that was so tactical and so necessary for so many people. And I'm just sitting here nodding like, yes, this makes so much sense. And thank you for not just being, a typical, I don't know, coach's coach that I feel like we see online that's just like, oh, you can scale to $1 million. No problem. You just have to put out more
Yeah.
social media. Like, that is not.
No. And can I just talk to that for a second?
Yeah.
And this is not popular. Okay. And I also need to build context around this before I say this, because I don't want any woman listening in thinking she can't. You can. You absolutely can. But the whole story around $1 million business and normalizing that, to me, there's nothing normal about scaling a $1 million business. Nothing. The level of grit, the level of stick-to-itness, the level of investment, both time, energy, money, the type of person that builds a $1 million business is not normal. So I think we need to stop that message, because what we're doing is saying, if you don't have a $1 million business, you're not normal. You're doing something wrong. Like you're missing the boat. Do more. Like that's not actually it. So I don't agree with a lot of the messages that are going on. And I have the wisdom. I've been doing this longer than 99% of the people speaking out there. And so it's not a put down. It's not a judgment. It's just, I have a differing opinion just based on wisdom and experience, lived experience. So there's that first piece. The second piece is, I see women dramatically change their lives with an extra $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month coming into their bank account. It doesn't take $1 million business to transform your life. It doesn't take $1 million business to have luxury and pleasure and fulfillment. So stop chasing that number as though that's the summit. Instead, build a business and be wise in the building, because most clients I work with in my signature offer B Lounge, they're not looking for $1 million businesses. They're looking to have rich lives, be present with their kids, go on family vacations that they can pay for and aren't stuck on a credit card, to not have debts, to pay their taxes, to live in a nice home, to be able to go for dinner, like to have that piece of enough money coming in that they have choice and freedoms. $1 million business is not required in order to achieve that.
Ugh. I am so thankful that you said that, because I agree. There is so much out there right now that feels like if you're not achieving massive success overnight, then there's something wrong with you and you're not equipped and you should just be doing it this way. I'm just so grateful that you said that. And it also causes me to reflect on, I don't have the $1 million business either, but I've had certain things in my life where people have come up and said, how do I get a, remote job or do this or do that? And it's like, well, there's a whole lot of steps. It's not just one thing that you do really quickly. And so I think it does speak to that discipline and kind of the tenacity, like you said, as well.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate that you're kind of pulling back the curtain on that, and that you have, so much experience and can speak from that place of like, I have done this and I have scaled many different things, and it was not a quick and easy overnight success.
No, it wasn't.
And
It wasn't. And I don't even feel like most people who are dreaming about $1 million business actually know the level of leadership required in a million
yeah,
dollar business. Like, are you ready to lead a team? Are you ready for the taxes? Are you ready for the expectations? Are you ready for the commitments, the disciplines? Like, and again, it's not a put down. Go build $1 million business if that's what you desire. Go do it. And it's fabulous. And I'm telling you right now, I love my life. I am so grateful. So it's not dimming this down by any stretch of the imagination. It's having a mature conversation around this and asking the right questions and doing the right thoughtfulness around, is this in fact what is required to change my life? And here's the cool thing. You've got to reach $5, $10, $20,000 on the way to millions. So you have to make those steps anyway. So enjoy it. Like, once you hit your $5,000 reoccurring revenue, celebrate, go do something, take a vacation, buy yourself a little bag, something like that to remember, like, ooh, there's a stepping stone. Same with 10, same with 20. Like, all those things need to happen on the journey to the million, but we bypass, we almost put down six-figure businesses now like they don't mean anything. And I'm like, that they absolutely do. I don't know any job out there where you could make $10,000 a month, have tax-deductible expenses, design your day, design your week, work from anywhere, vacation whenever you want, not just on vacation days or when the kids are off school. Like, there's no career out there that would offer that income with those freedoms, period. But again, we forget this.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's something that I've been challenging myself as well personally, is just, how do I enjoy the journey so much more? I don't want to just be like reaching for the pinnacle of the mountain only to look back and be like, dang, I was just waiting for this moment and I didn't enjoy that whole entire, these are the good old days. Like, I really, this is the good old days right
Yes.
now. It's happening.
Yes.
And so I think that kind of speaks to what you're saying as well, which is like, enjoy this whole process of getting to a million, if that is in fact the thing that you're after. You were talking about these tactical steps, and I was listening to you say, find the one thing that you're really good at that you could just talk about forever that you just love. If there's somebody listening who's like, I think, I've got some things, but I don't really know my one thing. How do we get more clear on that? And what was your one thing?
No, that's a great question. And what's interesting is I can feel her because I am her, that level of resistance of like, I don't want to choose. Don't make me choose one thing. And I'm not saying you only have one thing that you talk about forever and ever. I'm saying you build an offer around the one thing and you scale it. And then maybe you build something else because you've built expertise over here and you scale it. So it's, one thing is not pigeonholing anybody. So choose something like right now, what's really working, or look at your last 3 to 6 months. What has really worked? Look at your last 1 year to 5 years. What has really worked? What do people say to you? What are people asking you in the DMs? What posts are getting the most engagement? Like, there's clues and cues everywhere. So listening again, I've said this already, but it's worth saying again, is like listening, because people will actually tell you, this is what I love learning from you. My goodness, this changed my life. When you said this, I was able to like listen and hear, because sometimes we can't identify it for ourselves through that resistance of, Jen, don't make me choose one thing. I can do lots and I'm great at many. And I'm certain you are. I'm not downplaying that. But in order to scale a coaching business right now, be really good at focusing in. And it could be maybe not a topic, but maybe it is, I am such an expert at sparking a business. I know how to take a concept, an idea, and build it into something that's alive out in the world. Maybe that's your one thing. Or it could be, I know how to take someone who is just like banging their head against their desk. Why is nobody buying? I know how to look at their messaging, look at their marketing, and help them with sales. That's a fantastic. Maybe for you, it's the aesthetic. You're like, I love this. I love a good brand, as you could probably see with my branding. It's a passion. And I love doing that. I don't actually teach that a lot because I actually have an artistic director who makes it all happen. I'm the idea behind it. She's the creator of it. But it's like, if that's you, you're the creator, you can make these beautiful aesthetics. Teach somebody how to do that. I'm so tired of scrappy DIY brands out there that want to make money and they're not willing to do the things. So they will hire you to learn how to use Canva really well. They will hire you to learn how to do sales and really start converting in their DMs. They will hire you to get this burn in their belly, this idea they can't get out of their minds and that they lay awake thinking about. They will hire you to teach them how to actually bring this to life. So again, it's not the end of the sentence. There is a dot, dot, dot. There's a comma, but start somewhere to start building your reputation.
I think that's a really good advice. And it is true that it's hard to, it's like, oh, I don't want to give up these other things that I really love. And I think to your point, it doesn't mean that it's the end. If you pick one, it just means that that's your starting point and you get to expand from there. You know, you have, it seems like a really rich, relationship with your kids and your husband. I'm curious if you believe in this thing called balance, because so many times it's, we hear about how do you balance work and family. And given that you are wildly successful, what overall is your take on this whole idea of balance, and how do we do it? If you figured it out, you please tell us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, Emma Greed, okay, copied me. She took my advice and she made it go viral. But I will say, I said it before, Emma Greed, that balance is a lie. I've been saying this for many, many years, over a decade, because there are so many people that ask me that question. Like, you have 4 kids, multiple businesses, a team, a husband, you have parents, you have friends, you have your health. Like, how in the world? I mean, people have said, I'll pay just to sit and watch you in a day. Like, I just want to see what it looks like.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, well, I don't know if you want to pay me for that, because it's not always pretty. But I will say, I have refined my life so beautifully that everything complements. Like, I wouldn't be afraid of somebody coming in my home and watching me for a day. I really wouldn't. I'd be like, you're actually going to really want it for yourself, because it's exceptional. But here's the thing. I've never bought into balance. I remember Jim Rohn was one of my very first mentors years and years ago. And he said, you're not a tree, like, move. And I remember thinking that in terms of balance. I'm not a tree. I'm not meant to sit still. And when I think of balance, it's everything being in perfect parts and being still and being able just to, like, stand straight and not move. And that to me is not the way life is. I don't even have balance amongst 4 kids. Like, what am I going to say? Everybody gets 2.2 hours of my time today and to keep everything balanced. Just not how life is. So I think we need to, like, just get rid of that concept altogether. What I bought into was harmony. So I thought to myself, what am I actually seeking? Like, what is the feeling I'm looking for when I think of balancing life and business? Well, it's the feeling of fulfillment. It's the feeling of harmony. And when I thought of that, I was like, that's it. It's harmonious living, meaning there's times in my business where it is a busy season. I communicate that to my family, because my kids only know me as an entrepreneur. They've been raised with me working from home. And so I explain to them, I don't hide it. I don't feel guilt around it. I just say, hey, busy season, but you know what that means? Vacation's coming up soon, or we're going to, like, people are benefiting. We are benefiting from this busy season. And I have their buy-in, because we travel all over the world. They play sports. There's no no's in my house. They just have access to things that are so wonderful and, like, really building their experience of life. So they benefit from those busy seasons. But there's also times where life takes over, where my kids need my attention, or I have someone home sick. I love entrepreneurship for that. It's the best of both worlds, where I can say, hey, I need to jig my schedule today. I need to be present here at home. And so it's not the balance, it's the harmony that comes from this. And I feel like the way to achieve that, if you're listening and going, well, that sounds nice for you, Jen, but the way to achieve it is being totally present with what you're doing in that moment, and remembering that guilt is an unnatural state. So when I feel guilty, and we all do, at least I always do, I feel guilty when I'm working and I'm out with the kids. I feel guilty that I'm not working when I'm with the kids. Like, guilt is just kind of like has this hum in my life, but every time I feel it, I'm like, this is an unnatural state. Love is our only natural state. So if I was in love right now, not guilt, what decision would I be making? Well, the decision I'd be making is put my phone down. Your business is okay. There's no 911 emergencies happening in business. There's not. be present. Or if it's that I'm missing my kids, it's like, okay, if I were in love right now, the choice I'd be making is to, put this down and go be with them in the other room. Or it could be saying to them, I've got these things that I didn't get done today. It's kind of weighing on my shoulders. I'm going to go in the office. I'm just going to tidy up these to-dos and get them off of my mind so I can have a really beautiful dinner with you tonight. Communication's a big piece of that.
Yeah.
But see how it's this dance and it's not perfection. It's just being present in the moment and remembering that guilt is an unnatural state. So if you're feeling it, sit with yourself for a second and say, if I were feeling love right now, what decision would I make? And go from there.
Yeah, I like that you touched on that guilt piece because that always comes up, especially talking to women who kind of want to do it all and are ambitious and are trying to
Yeah.
juggle all of the things. And I also love that you touched on harmony. This is kind of a little bit of a segue, but something that came up for me when you were talking about your family is what are the lessons that you have learned? You kind of talked about holding money and holding wealth. And I'm just thinking about what are those money and wealth and abundance lessons that you've learned along the way that you are trying to maybe pass on to your kids so that they learn those?
Yeah, and thank you for that question because it's a really great question. And I feel like many people think what we want to pass on is that money is everywhere, it's abundant, and it is that, but that's not the full equation. So again, in my maturity and my journey, what I've realized is there's absolute truth. Money really is an illusion. It's not like there's X amount of dollars sitting in the bank in your bank account. Like it's kind of a funny thing when you start to talk about it, like the amount of power we give over to money. So that's the first lesson I've taught them is do not give power over to money. You are the power. You can change your circumstance. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that, yes, it flows abundantly. And I do believe that we're resourceful. I do believe that magic and miracles happen all the time. Yet, there's also a stewardship to blessings and abundance that we need to be held accountable to. And so that equation of belief in magic and miracles, seeing it as energy, being in great relationship with money and wealth, tying that into when it comes to me, it can be entrusted in me. So I am going to save, I am going to give, I am going to steward this blessing. And then that to me is the ultimate wealth. Because what can happen with money, and my kids have watched me in various stages. They've watched me where I feel like there's not enough. I was 100K in debt. They watched me sell all the furniture in the basement to pay for this mastermind. And it made no sense. It was totally irresponsible. I'm the sole income earner in my home. It makes no sense that I did that. But they watched their mom not be controlled by the numbers and watched me take back the control and do the things that I needed to do in order to change the circumstance. They've also watched money flow freely into our home and bless us in so many ways. But they've also watched me honor that, not take it for granted. They've watched me be in relationship with it where I give so much thanks and gratitude. We have a term in my home called obsessive gratitude. Like it's not just thanks for the food. It's, oh my gosh, thank you for this salad. Like it tastes so good. It's the next level of experience. So those are the things that I wish my children to learn from me is there's going to be moments where it feels like there's not enough. There's going to be moments where it feels like it's never ending. But who you are in those moments really, really matters. Don't give over your power to either scenario. To either of those scenarios, you don't give your power over. You stay in your power and you steward your blessings. And if you can be entrusted in that, you will be entrusted with many, many beautiful things in your lifetime.
Mm. I really appreciate how you have kind of that woo side, like you said, but I also really love the tactical business side and the maturity. And like what you just said is so great about stewarding, because I think it is kind of the marry up of both. And I feel like especially passing that along, how beautiful that you get the opportunity to do that. And I feel like I'm sure you've learned just incredible lessons from all of the journey that you've been through, and what a gift it is to get to share in that with them as well. Do you find that there's kind of a certain mindset that you're commonly working with women who are trying to grow into their next level? Like, what is kind of that that blocker for them? What's a typical pattern that you're seeing that maybe you can share with us so that if people are listening, they can work on that right now today?
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of pressure right now with women, pressuring the business to work, pressuring themselves to make the business. There's lots of pressure right now, force. And I know it's coming from this place of really big dreams and desiring big success. But we got to go back and like see the difference in even my posture and my tone of voice, like pressure versus desire. Like your voice changes, your posture changes, your heart space changes. And so forcing is really a sure way of fatigue, overwhelm, burnout, all the things that none of us want to really have in our lives or experience. And so it's like, why are there so many tight deadlines and timelines? And why are we forcing our businesses to work? I said something on stage this past weekend that it was just incredible how it hit so many people. My DMs just lit up where I said, it's not up to the business to prove to you that it's going to work.
Mhm.
It's up to you to prove to the business that it can work. There's a
Mhm.
difference. Pushing a business in order to feel validated, pushing a business in order to be the proof to you that this is going to happen, that you know you're valuable enough, you're worthy enough. That's just not the way it goes. It's like you've got to step up to the plate in your belief, unshakable personal belief. Do whatever you have to do to get there, but it's not the circumstance that's going to actually create that unshakable belief. It's that stick to itness. It's moving forward despite circumstance. Maybe nothing, it's like crickets. You're thinking nobody is getting it, nobody's buying. But is it up to everybody to get it and to buy in order for you to feel validated in this decision? I don't think so.
Right.
You've got to be the leader of it. I don't want to buy from someone who's like, I'm just seeing if it's going to work, like if anybody's going to buy. I can smell that from a mile away. I buy from women who are so steady and certain that doesn't matter if they made $2 or $2 million. They know they have something to offer. They know they have a transformation that is going to be the most beautiful result for that person. They are unshakable. I can feel it. I can see it. And I don't even care how much money you made. I care that you're the person I can trust with my investment because you're in this for the long run. You're not in this for a quick, fast cash, let's see if it's going to work type of scenario.
Ah, yeah. I love that confidence and that, like you said, I think even better, unshakable. You can just feel that when somebody talks. When you talk, that is so clear. And so thank you for that response. I feel like that's really important. And that statement that you said, I was thinking, gosh, that could be used in so much, right? Like in relationships, in business,
Yes,
in a lot of
yes.
things. Um, okay, Jen, I have a quick fill in the blank for you. So I'd love to have you
Ooh,
finish the sentence, which is, you can't become iconic until you stop being.
wishy-washy, contemplative, and indecisive in who you are, what you have to offer, and who you have to offer it to.
Oh, yes, that is perfect. That is so good. Oh, I love that. Okay. I have another one, which is not a fill in the blank, but just kind of, if you could pass on, you're just so knowledgeable and you've passed on so much, but if you could pass on kind of one resounding message to women listening right now, what would that be if you could just kind of burn that into their brain or their heart?
Mhm. It would be get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. Make the investment, go all in, cannonball and make a big splash. Nobody's asking for this to be pretty, that you swan dive in and it's nobody's asking for that. It's that you get in the deep end for your life and your business, that you commit fully and you get out of the way of your own success. 9.9 times out of 10, it's nothing to do with anything else. It's your restrictions, your feelings of lack, your focus on things outside of you, the consumption, the comparison. It's time to like stop being that because it's not going to get you anywhere and start being the leader you would want to follow. And if you can be that, success is inevitable.
Ah, That is so, I just can feel that in my bones. The cannonball in really resonates as well. No one is looking for you to swan dive. That I just needed to hear that as well. Like, just
Good.
dive in. And I think
Let's
you kind of
go.
even touched on it with family. Like, this doesn't have to be this perfect thing. You do have to be self-aware and check in with those guilt moments and, have that communication, but nobody's looking for you to do this in the most perfect way. Oh,
No, they're not.
yeah, I love that. Um, I have a closing tradition on this podcast where I ask the guests that I'm interviewing to leave like a quote or reflection, which I kind of just did with you, but something for the next guest, not knowing who it is. So, what I'd like to do is share what my last guest left for you and then give you the opportunity to do the same thing. So,
Okay.
the quote I have for you, or the saying, I suppose, is that she said, "You are infinite. We have infinite access of wisdom, power, joy, pleasure, and possibility within us. The moment you feel that freedom within yourself, the moment that you realize I'm even more powerful and divine than I ever thought possible, that is when you want to spill that feeling over and help light up that spark in someone else so that they can feel that way also. And together you can create something extraordinary." So,
Wow. She just had that come off her tongue? I'm thinking a sentence or a single quote. Thank you. First of all, whoever that was, thank you for that blessing. I received that. That was beautiful. But I'm thinking, wow, that's a big shoe to fill. Okay.
it doesn't have to be, anything more than just, I've had just, a sentence shared. I've had big, messages like that shared.
Again, I just did in like the best way. I didn't expect that. It was beautiful. And I
Good.
don't feel like mine's going to be long, but I hope to be impactful to the next guest and say, like, the world is waiting for you. You are someone's answer to their prayer. God didn't make extras. And so it's important for all of us to rise to our occasion and to remember that we are the solution to someone's prayer. We are the solution to someone's dream, and we are the solution to our own fulfillment.
Is really powerful and so deep and so deeply needed. And definitely I needed that. Thank you for sharing that. Gosh, Jen, you are just incredible. You're a force. I love how real you are. You just approach things so with such kindness and such love for the people that you're serving, but you're also just so wise, like almost intimidatingly so, because you've done so many incredible things, but you wouldn't know it because you're just so humble and such a beautiful human. So thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here and for the work that you're doing. It really means a lot.
That means a lot to me. So thank you so much for seeing me and witnessing me and having me on this podcast. I love to share, if you don't mind, just a moment for the listeners. uh, what you do is such a selfless act. Doing a podcast requires time and investment and care. And so I want to thank you for putting this out into the world and allowing people to freely listen to beautiful conversation that impacts their lives, their days. I just want to honor you in this moment as well. Thank you for doing this.
Wow, thank you. Nobody's ever done that. I really appreciate that. And thank you for seeing me. Gosh, just as much. I'm just carrying that with me. Thank you so much, Jen. You've been an incredible guest. And again, I can't articulate how much this meant to me to have this conversation today. And it's not lost on me that you could be spending your time doing about 9 million other things. So thank you for being here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the show today. And before you go, I just have one quick favor to ask of you. There is a really simple way that you can help support me and help support this show, and that is to hit that follow button on whatever app you're listening to the show on. I'm trying really hard to level up the content and deliver unique value and amazing guests, and just hitting that follow button is the magic that will help continue to empower that. And remember that the world deserves to hear your voice and your stories, and you deserve a place at the top.